Yeah. Okay. So, just this is kind of talking about a little bit about TIF. LD 286 allows up to 50% of capital costs for renovations or construction of municipal buildings. We talked a little bit about how can we use these funds in the community. This legislature is kind of relaxed how the town can use those funds. And so after discussions with the town attorney, the thought is that there's no reason to look at amending your TIF ordinance.
I don't agree.
Okay. Yep.
The legislature gives me, keep it away, LD 290.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. And so, I mean, if that's the board's wish, we can go through the. Sure. I mean, we can. And that was my original thought, was just to have it updated to reflect the recent change in legislation. So, I can circle back with the attorney if that's the board's wish and move forward with that.
Are you making a motion that we do something? Like, okay, what would you like?
To amend our ordinance to allow for the intent of that bill, which is transitory at best.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Do you have any further discussion on that? Okay, all those in favor? All right, so we'll,
I could. That's fine. I've already started the work, and we can move forward with that.
all right, so the next is discuss the affordable housing law. Again, that's an Aaron.
Okay. Oh, let me get to my notes here.
Is that something that could be done in next meeting? Because of how long this thing ran, or is that something that we can discuss tonight?
Affordable housing. I can dig into that. It's up to you.
Can't get that down the next meeting.
You're going to be along with it.
I can be.
Pretty straightforward, isn't it?
I could be pretty quick.
All right, let's go for it.
Essentially, I've asked the code enforcement officer to weigh in on the recent amendment PL 2023 and LD 2003. The upshot is that DECD suggests that municipalities discuss the LD 2003 with legal counsel on the account that the municipalities do not update their ordinances and may face litigation. If a municipality does not adopt ordinances to comply with Title 30A, subsection 4364, this legislation will preempt municipal home rule authority. That's the CEO's recommendation as we is to move forward with that. Discussion. So I can. I guess I'm not looking for a decision tonight. I mean, we can. I just wanted to kind of give you what the what's happening with that. The CEO is looking further into the matter and working with the state. The state does offer $5,000 to municipalities to help assist with this process. So I've asked him to ask for those funds, and I expect I can circle back with you on that.
And then the end result would be whatever his outcome is, he'd lay it out and work with the planning board for it, right?
Right, and so really, I mean, there are a number of ordinances that probably should be looked at. And there's the shoreline zoning ordinance. There is the site plan review ordinance. There's the process, making sure that the applications are met. Basically, the thought is that we need to have these at work as a roadmap for us as we navigate further into the application process. We'd like to just have kind of it handed to us on a silver platter, so to speak, so we understand that we didn't miss anything that's been referenced at the state level. So.
All right, so you'll teach us the rest of that.
Just a comment if I could.
Sure. Yeah. Please.
And I'm sure Jason will look at this, but I'm really concerned that, do we have any ordinances or do we have anything that would be that we would need to amend to accommodate this new law. I mean, most of shoreland, for instance, would be private septic subsurface systems which require X number of square feet.
Sure.
And I don't know of anything in here that's looking to
Yeah.
negate, like shoreline zoning rules. You know, we don't have any outside the standards. So we don't have our own housing rules or density rules or anything like that, other than what's in the state ordinance. And I'm not reading where that would be amended, so we can't change it.
Sure.
Do we have any I think it's worth looking into.
Yeah, and
But I
that's,
just don't think we need to get all up in knots about it. because
Right.
I don't really think we have any ordinances other than, you know, subsurface waste disposal, and that's pretty much all that controls
sure.
our density. So,
And I think, Doug, that's exactly what we'd like to look at.
yeah.
You know, is,
Just to make sure.
are there any pitfalls in what we have? As we move forward. Again, there's funds out there that are available. I mean, my thought is that could be used to pay for attorney's fees, just to make sure that we're good to go, just to get another look at what's happening.
Yeah, now it's a prevention.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, were you done talking about TIF?
Yes.
I don't have an agenda for anybody, can I just ask you a question? Because as a department head, you've never been asked from recreation to ask for TIF money, and I know there's categories that recreation programs can qualify. Would we be asked, when would we be able to request a TIF?
I would encourage you to have a conversation with Aaron, and then Aaron can bring that up to the board on an agenda item.
Okay, I didn't know what we were discussing tonight, how far you were discussing.
I think the majority of your questions in your role as an employee would always go through Aaron,
Oh, yeah.
and then Aaron would address it with the board.
Okay.
But, I mean,
You approve first of 6.
yeah, I don't have it memorized, so I know that is, that's not on yours.
Oh, yeah, I didn't know what you were discussing.
All right, number 6, public comment on select board meetings.
Okay, so you have a proposed remote participation public policy in front of you. This proposal is based on what MMA Legal has drafted that they give as samples for municipalities. So I'd like for you to just, I don't know how much time you've had to look at this, but I'd like for you to consider this as we move forward. It has been vetted through the town's attorney. MMA Legal would advise us to have our own attorney look at it. I would note that the biggest thing here that I found was interesting was that by law, when a member of the body is participating remotely, the public has the opportunity to participate remotely as well. You'll see section 3C here talking about public access. So I would highlight that.
But that's only limited if one of the board members is out.
That's my understanding. When any member of the body participates via remote methods. I think it's just a matter of just kind of being fair with the general public, I guess.
Understood.
Yeah.
But the school,
School's separate. The school is something entirely different, is my understanding.
Different regs on how they do their public.
That's my understanding. That and when I'm looking at the statute, it does reference schools, and there's a difference there, but I didn't dig too deeply into that.
Do we want to comment? Do you have any comment on this?
like it,
Rick? I'm apprehensive, as I've maintained. Since I've been on the board, this has been on my agenda to get the town to this spot. I still want to get there. I'm just concerned. I would rather go too slow and reevaluate as we get more comfortable in exercising this when it comes to public comment from outside than too fast and then having to walk it back. That's my only reservation.
So with all the camera equipment, we should, by the first of the year, be able to actually have the meetings where people can watch remotely but not participate. And we could still do that without having to have the public comment in place, so that wouldn't hold that aspect up.
But in the event if we adopt the document, which, and I'm fine, but I understand completely if an elected official is remotely engaged, that we have to open up that door. I just, I think the biggest thing we have to consider is who's going to moderate this.
We couldn't know. Usually we give them a call when they were gonna be out.
Yeah. Or life will call and say, he's not making it tonight.
Well, if you were to participate from home because you couldn't come in
Yeah.
for COVID or what have you, that would open that way for this.
Yeah, for us, I don't see where, no, I mean, if you're like quarantined and you just couldn't cover that type of reason, you can email questions ahead of time like everybody else and hope that you get everything covered.
I mean, I would like us to get to a point, I want civil engagement, but, it does concern me what's happened in other communities, and
It's not the time.
so, I mean, should we be more specific with section C? As it,
Well, I guess it's,
yeah. Or is that clear enough language? I think it's probably clear enough. So you want to,
I guess I would suggest that if you have proposed language, if you'd like to see any changes, that you have legal look at it.
I think, I'm glad you took out number 4. I don't know if that was our attorney that took us out on.
It was at his recommendation.
I mean, I think that we should be present and the public majority of the time. So the convenience body, I had that highlighted.
Yeah, I can see why. It was kind of open-ended.
And section 6, it's only during public hearings that we have to open that up.
I'm having a hard time finding section. Oh, here, the Roman numeral, yeah. All right. We went from regular to Roman numeral. Okay. During the public proceeding and effective means communication. I don't see where it says public hearing.
I was assuming public proceeding, or was that?
That's public proceeding.
I would challenge that, I guess. I would limit it right now until we can get this thing off and running to only one of us are. But Deanna needs to participate in our side. That's my opinion, so. And we've got a conversation on how to do that.
I thought that we were down to 2 people because one was sick. And then somebody could participate, but they couldn't get back for work or something in time. That would be the only situation I would see. In the worst case, you'd have to cancel the meeting.
Right.
So it's not like good.
is a vote tribute considered part of the quorum?
I don't know, it's a good question. I mean, prior to this, we only discussed it because the governor had allowed for remote meetings during COVID. And so I guess we'd have to get, would this allow for the, a body member to have voting privileges remotely? Is it, or would it be just as they're here?
I would want to double check.
Okay, so you want to table it until next week and we'll, next meeting, and then we'll give you time to kind of respond and
Sure.
any other questions we could be able to.
Yeah, please do. If you have any thoughts or questions that I could pass off to legal.
Hopefully we can get this showed up next time, so it'll be ready for January.
Okay.
Thanks, Karen. All right, so we're moving on to That's the generator at the town office.
So I did reach out to the both people that provided quotes on the generator for the town office. The thought is maybe we could, get a smaller generator, power a portion of the building during outages. And one of the responses that I received was that you're looking at having to move circuits, which requires pulling circuits out of the main panel, installing a small transfer switch and an emergency panel or a transfer switch that has a small panel included. He said it usually costs more to do this because it's labor intensive. He quoted a 20 kW, and the smallest generator they will put in is a 14 kW. So you'd only be saving $1,000 on the generator. I've asked for a second opinion. They're going to come look at it.
30 gallons per hour, what each model burns at half load. But it was more about, for long periods, that the smaller one would save you 30-40% and get your tank to last
Sure, right.
a week versus 5 days or something. That was my thought process on it. So I think we need to see how many gallons per hour at half load, each unit would use, and then
Okay.
do a little bit of a baseline. And
Okay.
If it's a small amount, then it's negligible, but if it's 40% or some, then it might be worth exploring to do the circuits so that, you've got sustainability in crisis situation.
Right. Okay. So how many gallons you'd be using at a half load?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Gallon per hour.
Yeah.
Any comment, Mike? You just want it. I mean, we're saving $1,000. I mean, it costs $1,000 extra with less the headache.
Yeah, I just,
Oh, you're gonna use that.
Yeah.
I've used mine once in the last 4 years. For 3-4 days.
I'm just thinking when we have had to use them, when that line goes out, it's usually a major event, it's long term, it's several days. So that was my thought process on the fuel.
Yeah. All right. Well, while we're at it, we did mention last time that we wanted,
I was just gonna comment from what Aaron is explaining. Saving $1,000 on the size of the generator, but it's probably gonna cost you double that to rewire.
I understand.
Be careful how many pennies you can save.
In the decision-making process of the staff, which regular should I throw?
I mean, I'm
Well,
going
you have a panel that would do so.
The only thing that I want to finalize is when we last meeting, we also talked about getting both to the fire station as well. And I think that it might be best just to try to see if we can get a bundle deal. If that's something that we need to pursue, but we don't have that information available.
Yeah, we're going to be looking at the fire station too. I got somebody coming out.
Same company that gave us the quotes for the town.
I don't think so. I think it's different. I'm working with two people.
And the ratio is different.
Yeah, 2 people. But
I
yeah,
don't remember what we did at the fire station.
I'll have to double check, but I believe they've both been with both ideas. Okay, both potential projects.
So
Yeah.
I know that we were discussing use ARPA funds to pay for these generators. Just to be clear, do we have to have this money earmarked by June?
I believe it's 2026. It needs to be spent by, and then
Earmarked.
yeah.
So we really ought to put our collector's head together and figure out what we're gonna do with the final 70-something thousand, 80-something thousand that we have.
Aaron, by the way, while we're doing the package deal for fire department and town office.
Yeah.
The Hysterical Society may want another
May want what now? Sorry.
one. Another.
Oh, but that's separate though. Yeah, and I'm aware of that. That's something we can talk about later. But yeah.
All right, so now we're on to the cemetery rules. Aaron?
Okay, you have new rules or proposed rules in front of you for the cemetery. And in your packet, I got copies here. Might be easier to just pass these down. Signature sheet right here. go. I've, the changes, the proposed changes are underlined. Pretty basic. I've met with the cemetery committee about this. And any proposed, removal of language has a line through it.
What is your recommendation?
These are good changes. I think it's interesting as I serve in this role that this you may very well find this to be a living document because questions come up all the time. Yeah. What's that? Yeah. But my recommendations for approval, is there anyone here? No. Okay. I'd recommend you approve it. We can go over the changes if you'd like.
Okay, we have a second on the town manager's recommendation. All those in favor? All right, so we have, next on the list is discuss the transfer station engineering proposal.
Okay, so we discussed this with the task force, the transfer station building task force, and the general consensus was that the board consider having the one person that we received a bid from come in for a discussion. And am I remembering that correctly? Just to come in with for a discussion and
Per diem or something along that line.
Yeah, per diem, half a day or whatever, just-
right. And so that's the recommendation. If you'd like to have him come in and talk about, how his services might be able to benefit the town as you look forward to potentially building or redesigning the transfer station, I'd say.
I think the $7,600 is a reasonable amount. I think that he can ask for the project. Are we going to benefit from putting it back out to bid? I think it's worth having him come up if he's willing, pay for a day or whatever, half a day.
We might lose him if we don't take him, but we've got him home in person.
So,
No, what was that, last meeting? Immigration minister? Per
I
diem.
apologize. You may have, I don't recall, I apologize.
So, yeah.
So, I'm good with that. And what you, Rick?
I'm fine.
So what are the limitations that we want, or do we want to allow just an open door for the town manager to negotiate this? Camden.
You're gonna spend a whole day. Yeah.
So, half a day or- If we have a motion,
If I see it, something that doesn't add up or it seems exorbitant, then
Basically, Stephen.
all right, so we have a motion to allow the director, town manager to negotiate, so. Second, all those in favor? Discuss the transfer station hours during upcoming holidays.
okay. So George is here. George has asked to have a change in the hours considering the upcoming holiday. He'd like to close the transfer station at noon on Sunday, Christmas Eve, and at noontime on New Year's Eve to accommodate family plans.
So I'll just comment to the policy and then open up for a conversation. So right now it states that if the holiday falls on the day he's not working or somebody's not working, they get an 8 hour per diem on top of. So Christmas falls on Monday this year. I think New Year's Eve also falls on Monday. So any kind of motion that's made to accept or need to also take consideration that if we give them this paid day off at Christmas Eve, that we need to consider 8 hours as well.
So I guess my thought on this was consistency. So Aaron, when you've got a holiday that's on a week with the town office, when would you normally close the town office? Like on Christmas Eve, would you close it early?
We look at what this, I think this might answer your question. We look at how the state has their holidays,
Okay.
and so we follow that guideline.
Our personnel,
So,
personnel, I think our town has less state holidays than the state does. I think it's at 11, I think the state's at 13.
we're, I think, at 13. Probably. Yeah. Yeah. We have, I believe we have all the state holidays. And we reflect, the state comes out with a schedule every year and it says if it, Christmas is on Saturday, so the state's closed on Friday. And that's how we go with it.
So my only thought would be is whatever you're doing in the office is make it consistent with
Gotcha.
the transfer station. So if they're closing at noon, then the other
Right.
places are noon. You can't have one department closing at one time and another staying open till 4 or 5 or
Sure.
over hours.
I think in this case, they're closed on Christmas because Christmas is on a Monday.
Well, like I'm thinking Christmas Eve, a lot of places will shut down early on Christmas Eve. So my question was, do we do an early shutdown for Christmas Eve?
Your personnel policy doesn't reference that. Doesn't give us direction.
So I think we've had a bunch of changes that we've had to personnel file handbook.
Yep.
And we're gonna have to look at that again before the end of the month with the,
Right.
at least for temporary, for how we're gonna manage the town office who works 4 days a week,
Right.
moving forward on January 3rd. I also think we should comment, or at least, I don't think it's written, I think it's unwritten, but I think there should be something in the policy about public works. They go to a 4-day schedule in the summertime.
Right.
And I think we should address that as we are making these changes, so that it's written on how holidays are gonna be managed.
Yeah, it's fair and precedent.
Right.
I was just looking for what precedents we already had set, if any.
So, and then going back to our conversation on Veterans Day, which I think we did the right thing. But Christmas Eve is probably not so much of a thing. I don't know if New Year's Eve is a problem, but I think at least for New Year's, we probably ought to extend out to Jeremy and Johnny. Are they working? We have commercial holidays in Big George, in town. This impacts.
I think they're gonna be busy on the other end on day after Christmas and doing double time.
So, that's my only concern, is any kind of ripple in business for them as well.
I mean, I doubt really very many people are gonna be thinking about the transfer station on Christmas Eve. It's just a matter of.
I wasn't referencing that as much as.
You're for financial impact.
So, do you want to take it both the same, or just you want to do one at a time? I'm okay with Christmas
What's
Eve.
your thought? What would you have us do?
I think the transfer station crew, by the nature that they always work on a weekend, don't always get the same latitude as office staff does. If the holiday was on Sunday, they'd be getting Monday off. And in this case, I'm more amenable to doing Christmas Eve in lieu of paying the 8 hours on for Monday, if that's something that is worthy. But I think we also, every time we make these small changes, we're opening up the door.
That's why I said see what the other departments do, if anything.
Yeah, I'm
Equality of life, I'm liking the idea.
Yes.
It's just the money, but is it material? By opening the other door, that's the part that scares me.
I'm inclined to say yes on Christmas Eve and no one. If they want to. Like it.
Do they close at 4 o'clock early? It's early enough for Christmas, for New Year's. Christmas, yeah.
Yeah, Christmas Day and
That's my position, I'm welcome to. So, with that request, I mean, I don't think we should pay the 8-hour premium if we're giving them 10-hour vacation day. I think that's the fairest law. Because the way it's written right now is if they work Christmas Eve, they get paid 8 hours on Christmas Day. Essentially, you get 10 hours of vacation pay. So we'll do Christmas, we'll do motion Christmas and then fall.
Make a motion to close in the transfer station.
That's different from what we're talking about. So you guys are making a motion to close at noon time, because that's what he asked, both days.
Just on Christmas.
Saying that if we give the vacation day, to remove the 8-hour bonus. Because they're getting it a free day off. If they were to work Christmas Eve, the next day they would get 8 hours on top of their pay. So what I'm recommending is we just give them day off, the whole day off on Christmas Eve, and pull back the 8-hour per diem.
So it's like a swap, an even swap. George,
Because it's time for, we have travel plans, and we also work social, especially.
Just get Christmas Day, we'll just close the show Christmas Eve. It's no sense keeping it open 3 hours or 4 hours.
Hmm.
So we'll handle that. We're not requiring you to take any of your earned time. We're just withdrawing, pulling back the 8 hours. So you'll have the whole day off.
Christmas Eve.
Yes.
yeah,
New Year's Eve.
you just,
Not in favor of this. You
Days
guys
a
want,
week. Days a week.
you guys want to make a motion otherwise, then please feel free. I'm 100% behind Christmas Eve.
What time are you, when you shut down, what time are you running, George? When you close, what time are you actually closing the gate and driving out? 4:30? 4:30.
So the lease agreement Christmas. All right, so let's get that out of the way. So we have a motion to close Christmas Eve, withdraw the 8-hour per diem,
Close for the whole day, Christmas.
closing the whole day Christmas Eve on Sunday. Withdrawing the 8-hour premium. All right, so all those in favor? All right, so we've got Christmas Eve out of the way. Now we can move on. This debate on New Year's Eve. Moving forward to you guys on how you want to manage that.
I mean, I think 4:30. Or, I mean. You're gonna see more people using using facilities, especially after a holiday week. Shut it down both days after that holiday week, I think it'd be kind of hard on people with that. I mean, you don't want to do after early because of the ramifications.
I mean, I think we're a three-person board, so I mean, speak what you want to say and you know,
Things that George brought up. Is more important, you say. Roads, started being, no frequency.
Maybe we don't want them at the transfer station.
Transfer station. Already drinking money into them, so.
so we have, so what are you proposing, Mike?
Which is fun.
He wants to talk.
I've already expressed what my opinion is, so if you guys want to carry motions to do on this, then.
Next week of Christmas. And for a number of weeks, people have to work that week, maybe Saturday or Sunday, close it down on a Sunday. I think that's one of the busiest weekends to be shut down for a whole day. Early, having people get down. Veterans Day.
I think Veterans Day was different with balance, I think.
Yeah.
They can figure something.
I just feel it's gonna be a fairly busy day, so you can't shut it completely down.
I think that we can push you.
Yeah, this is that first goal.
Let's say you're on 8 hours on the next day. Okay. So we have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor? Opposed? All right.
I'm sorry, I just would note that we skipped over agenda item number 9, which is discuss proposing a correction of
Oh, I
the.
apologize.
That's okay. So just for your consideration, there was this was pointed out that there was, if you look on, let's see here, item number 10 talks about the town website back in October 19 to 2023. It says the motion that Chris made to follow the town manager's recommendation to hire Town Cloud based on recommendations by the Tiger team. I believe that you had you had talked about some of those some recommendations based on the work. Tiger team wasn't recommending Town Cloud, so
I'll clarify my statement.
okay, yeah,
My intention when I said that, whether or not it was captured, was the fact that they had, in their research, had identified, I think, 7 key areas.
Yeah.
And we were able to apply 6 of them with Town Cloud. So the recommendation from Town Cloud, I mean, from the Tiger team, wasn't necessarily the infrastructure, but the ideas that we had thought about or considered.
Yeah.
And that was really effort to tip my hat to their work and
Sure.
consideration time. So,
Right.
Without them, we wouldn't have considered those ideas.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So does it make sense to clarify that motion? I mean, because the way I read it,
I mean,
it
we need to be
doesn't.
more concise than that.
And this was my error.
So we accepted it. So. Okay.
No.
Okay,
It's documented.
okay, fair enough.
So now we have town reports. What's that, sir? Yeah, that would be,
Should be ACO.
that's correct. Thanks, Mike. I can make that correction.
All right, do we have a motion to accept the reports with Mike's? I make a motion. Mike, you second? I do. All right, all those in favor? All right, other items may be presented. Town manager, select.
I got one.
board.
Okay, received a letter from Delta. Chris Mitchell, interim director over there at Delta. The board of directors has decided to charge a new per capita service charge of $25. The increase is significantly more than what they say was anticipated, but is more in line with the amount necessary for Delta's ambulance sustainability for the upcoming year. I just wanted to bring this to your attention. So you knew, I've also asked Delta to meet with area, the communities that they serve, all at the same time. Chiefs, town managers, select board members, to basically have a question and answer period. I requested this probably, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago. Chris Mitchell has responded that he has sent out an inquiry to all the towns and has asked what works best for them. So it appears that they're moving in that direction to have such a meeting happen.
I'd like to just make 2 comments on Delta. Our town manager has been vetted and offered a slot on their board of directors. And I think it's something that we should encourage them to do in these circumstances.
I would just piggyback on that comment. I expect to meet on Wednesday for them to vote for me to serve. So it's not.
Sorry.
That's fine. I mean, it's not final. I can follow up with you on it.
So I've been speaking to, having spent many years in this, I have a lot of contacts in the area, so different various boards. I don't want to say it was a threat. I think they were going to follow through with it, that if we don't pay, they were going to pull out. And they mentioned last time around, and we won't know until we discuss this with them again, that if towns walk out, then the rest of the towns are going to have to keep those rating streets. So we're looking at going from 65,000 to 110,000 around there. Yeah. So this concerns me from the perspective that, just like last year, there's not a service in the area that is capable to handle the vacuum, to fill the void that Delta should default. I'm not suggesting they are, but there are things that are happening. They put their Augusta-based business building up for sale. They're looking for housing in the southern part of their area. They've done a significant increase in what they're asking for appropriations to maintain their staffing level, and they lost call line. I know that I won't speak to the community, but I know that they're looking to pull out, and it's one of the largest remaining communities left. And so I'm proposing, on top of the stakeholder meeting that Aaron has facilitated with Delta, that we propose to Delta that they reorganize their board of directors. There's 13 members, there's 14 towns. I think 7 of them should belong to the stakeholders that are after paying the bill, whether it's some kind of natural siblings like China Vassalboro provides a representation for a year or 2. I've talked to some of board members from other communities behind the scenes. It seems like an acceptable idea, but I didn't want to pursue it any further without you folks understanding what's happening. And if you guys have any thoughts, or if we should just kind of sit back and see how this year goes. Because as you look at Augusta Fire's hired, they're not able to keep their staffing for which ever fall and COVID and, you know, in Waterville. It's not that we have to solve tonight, but I just wanted you guys to understand as we go into budget season that this could be a moving target.
Very least for the budget, yeah. I mean, it's one of those things, you know, until it gets to tipping point. You have to keep anticipating what you can do. Enough that it was worth hiring, you know, one person, have somebody on all around the clock, you know, story, but there you
No, for sure, but
go.
I think it's important that we support Delta. I think it's an entity that needs to remain solvent.
Well, I think having the smaller towns, because the demographics and the client base has shifted. You don't have the, you know, the heavy hitters for invest in that, so it makes sense to suggest that they have pay attention to the smaller fish, because now they're majority.
But I don't know how you guys feel about it, or do you want to just let it play?
This extortion, but we don't have interest.
It's what I let them say.
Well, I mean, it is, I mean, well, I mean, I see what you're saying, but I mean, they can say no, and then we have the options to say no to them. I mean, it's.
We're not there yet, but it's a long-term thing to be watching.
Fair enough.
We need to have a backup plan down the road. We've got to look out 3 to 5 years.
So I know a couple of towns that have banded together basically for their type of service. I mean, is that an option? Vassalboro, China combined together and produce their own service.
Financially, it would be expensive, and right now, services aren't even buy ambulances.
Right, but the other thing too is if you do the $25 per person at what, 4,500 people. Typically, they run what, maybe last year it was like 400 and some odd calls. It's probably up. So say 600 calls. I mean, you're paying this huge amount, 600 people. And then on top of which, the old brain just walked out. But the point is that somebody has to advocate at some point. We're not in a position, tax wise or money wise, whatever, to save Delta. You know, their response time to hear from God knows where they are. They could be in Augusta, they could be somewhere else. The majority of the time, it's more than 2 minutes.
For sure.
Somebody has a cardiac event. First 5 minutes is crucial to get them aid. So I don't know what the answer is, but I know that, like you said, it's like you guys are being, you know, the town's people are being held hostage, so to speak. You have to pay this or we're not going to show up. I mean, legally, I don't think they cannot not show up, but they can make it a slower response time.
The EMS rules say essentially, I regret saying it like this, but I think they only have to give 30 days notice.
Seriously, they can just.
If something was to happen with their service, or if they're going to go in default and they aren't able to keep the doors open, and then it's through mutual aid and collaboration, you know, with the greater cities in the area to provide service.
So why would you want to pick up Vassalboro? I mean, we're literally
Staffing, equipment. They can't buy ambulances. They've been trying to buy a 4th ambulance for some time now. Our service chief is our Vassalboro service chief works for Waterville Fire full time. Our fire chief works for Waterville Fire full time.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, I mean, even if we gave them so much per person.
We've had conversations with Chief Essler last year. It was a consideration. It wasn't. We've talked to Chief Broder out of Augusta, asked him if he'd consider taking us on. They don't have the staffing.
Maybe it's Delta. To be honest, I mean, you're caught between a rock and a hard place, basically.
And geographically, we're a tough place to cover. I mean, you got Belgrade, Sydney, Kennebec River, Vassalboro, China, Windsor, that are all in the same boat in a swath between.
I mean, it would be nice if you put Vassalboro, China, and Windsor together. Windsor, I know, has their own name.
The first responders,
They
yeah.
don't transport though.
Windsor Rescue was closed down years ago. They just do the first.
And even if you like hooked up with the town, you'd almost have to look like Winslow Water to the north and Augusta to the south. To really get adequate coverage, because otherwise you're gonna have far more than 10 minutes if they're coming
Right,
out of
'cause you
one,
got 17.
coming out of the other, so. You know,
Yeah.
if you do look at these cities, you're gonna have to look at multiples and draw a line somewhere based on what the roads and the geographics are.
So there's gonna come a point in time where we can't build.
What was that?
I said, there'll come a point in time where we just can't.
As I said, we've gotta have a long-term plan.
Yeah.
And we've gotta be going down this path, but have something parallel. And
Yeah,
it
so
doesn't,
I've been a nurse. Seen it all.
It's on our radar, and all we do is continue to talk about it and look at options, but I don't think it's there yet, like Rick suggested.
And there's no way to advocate for, say, 600, even 1,000 would be cheaper. I know they're trying to improve things at the state. You know, you've got a certain number of people. So,
But we'll keep on it, that's for sure. I mean, as long as I'm on the board, it will definitely be a topic discussion. So
even if you're not on the board, it's gonna be a topic of discussion, there'll be emails, phone calls.
anything else, Aaron?
No.
All right, so we have to sign some warrants. See you, Doug.
See you, Doug. Thank you. 35, 36, 37.
Okay.